This chapter of Chainsaw Man was so good! Not only did Denji Cross Asa fans get their little moment, boy they're eating good tonight, but we also got quite possibly one of the best written dialogue exchanges in a while between Nayata and Denji that goes much deeper than you may expect. So let's get into Chainsaw Man chapter 149. If you love Chainsaw Man, subscribe and drop a like. We cover new chapters as they drop. As well, in December we'll be doing a 3-part series that you absolutely don't want to miss. So you heard me, subscribe, drop a like, please. Thank you. Our first moments of the chapter illustrates what the last chapter did with the people in this city on the hunt for Chainsaw Man, except now they've radicalized to burning anyone who even looks like Chainsaw Man to a crisp. And the thing I find interesting though is that it seems to all be through this religious context, as one of the men says that this incident is divine retribution for ignoring the prophecy and to join them in obeying the voice of God. I know it's just a theory of mine, so take it with some grain of salt, but there has to be a god or like a god devil, right? We've got plenty of mentions to God before, or some kind of being that alludes to its existence, like the devil. However, with Fumiko, Denji, and Nayata witnessing this mob forming, it basically tells them that they've run out of time and they have to act fast as things are escalating quickly. Denji wants to bust out the chainsaws if things go south, but Fumiko makes a great point that by doing so, he would only be exposing himself and would be outnumbered quite easily and set on fire. And this is a very good point. If you'll remember in the initial chapters, Chainsaw Man was swarmed by zombies pretty easily, and while he got out of it, he was still swarmed, which would give, you would think, people enough time to do some damage. So he just can't slice his way out of it. As well, Denji won't kill a human, so it makes it even more complicated. So it's best they don't and say they did. Kinda. However, what I find interesting is that Fumiko says that they'll protect them, which Nayata is quick to cut her down to size and remind her that she is way more powerful than she is. She don't need the protection, which is true and gives Fumiko a moment of pause until she asks if she would kill humans if they attack, and Nayata, like the literal devil she is, calls humans weak sauce, which is a very cute and childish way of saying it, and that adds to the, I don't know how to put it, the scariness of Nayata, maybe? Because you know it's true, she could literally destroy everyone there with ease and it wouldn't even bother her too. While Nayata may seem like an innocent child, she's a devil, and on top of that, the former Makima. She cares nothing about humans. Only for Chainsaw Man and Denji. Nothing else. So Fumiko is like, what have you been teaching her? And that's kind of funny because you'd think the way that Denji is that she'd be, I don't know, at least a little nicer than Makima, but at least in certain ways that seems to not be the case. I also like how Denji just says, well, whatever is on educational TV, which, does show the caliber of parenting Denji is at, but I don't blame him for it. After all, Denji is just a kid, and so raising a kid while also being one is pretty much an impossible task. The fact they're doing this well at all really is a godsend when you think about it. However, this is when Denji remembers their apartment and their dogs and how they need to be fed. Now, I have a theory on this, which we'll get to later in the video, but Fumiko says that they can't do that as likely their apartment are being staked out by the Chainsaw Man Church, but still they're adamant of feeding their pets. So Fumiko stands in their way, and I knew immediately that Fumiko shouldn't have done this because, well, Nayata. She's a loose cannon at times, so instead of agreeing to be sheltered at public safety, Nayata shoots out a chain which goes through a window into an old woman's head, and so now under the control of Nayata, she breaks through the window to grab Fumiko. Denji, seeing all this go down, attacks Nayata via tickle attack to stop her from attacking Fumiko, allowing her to run, which I thought was cute, yet at the same time, still very horrifying. This is when we get one of the most interesting parts of the chapter. Nayata explains to Denji that she was about to kill Fumiko because it's a natural thing for devils to do, like plants and photosynthesis and, fish swimming. These are just normal instinctual functions of life. She asks him that he feels these things too, does it make him feel alive? And I found this an interesting question from her because in a sense, Nayata is right. It's in the nature of, nature itself to kill or be killed, right? That's the way this world is always and will always work to a degree. But that's the thing, to a degree. I think Nayata is right for making a correct observation observation on a at least surface level, but there is much more complexity to life than just killing. It's like saying you buy a car just to drive it to get groceries, and that is the function of the car. There is no more intention behind it. Kind of ridiculous, right? What Nayata is missing here is that there are other functions to life and different answers that you can plug into the questions it may give you. Killing people may be an answer, and it may make Nayata feel alive, but that's sort of irrelevant because, like I said, there are many ways to solve a problem than with killing. So she asks Denji to join the side of the devils, and like all of the pitches Denji has gotten prior, Nayata tells him of all the great things that they'll be able to do, all of the happiness that can be achieved if he were to join them. Denji rightfully asks about his friends at school, and matter-of-factly, Nayata tells him that nobody cares about them or if they'll die. After all, Nayata is all Denji needs. And I found this to be quite like Makima in nature for Nayata. She cares only for herself and nobody else, and while she loves Denji, it's really only in a selfish, controlling way. After all, she is the control devil, so, that makes sense. Denji would be wise to probably never take advice from her, or really, probably from anyone like her. Opinions are like assholes, everyone has one and they all stink. So something I wasn't expecting, Nayata senses that Denji is thinking about Asa Mitaka of all people. Well, of course, Nayata doesn't get it, which, by the way, is another reason to not get to take advice from Nayata. She doesn't understand what love is at all. Denji says it was because they kissed, and up until now, he's kissed plenty of women, and for Asa, well, she was the only one he kissed and didn't have something horrible happen to him. I mean, you can feel the sorrow within Denji as he says this, and this is probably one of my favorite moments in the chapter, just this small moment. He hangs his head low, averts his gaze from Nayata. You can tell that all those times before really affected him deeply and hurt him, even though it didn't seem like it, it very much did. On top of that, you can tell how much he values the kiss from Asa, because even though she ended up being, awkward and yelling at him, hey, she didn't try to kill him or blow him up or control him or, go horny mode on him. So Nayata asks how much he loves Asa, or I guess likes Asa, and he gives this modest example holding his hands out. It's about the width of his chest or so, very modest. And so she asks how much he loves her, and he basically is like a mother asking a child how much the kid loves her, and he just goes, this much, Denji says, spreading out his arms. So Nayata, with a smile, glomps onto Denji, very adorable, despite, her just, saying killing makes her feel alive somehow, and tells Denji she won't kill any humans, and to, and I quote, hurry home, mush. Denji will always be her dog, it seems. So this chapter was really good. I loved all of the themes that it tackled in this chapter with Denji's character. I also think that it's rather fishy they would go to these links to feed these dogs. It does make me wonder how important they really are. My first thought is that they need them to use them to defend themselves from the people trying to kill Denji. After all, he still can't transform into Chainsaw Man. As well, I think the smile at the end is important for Nayata's character, as it shows that despite him loving another woman, despite it being very innocent and small right now for him at least, Nayata still agreed to not kill humans. That to me shows that Denji's influence on Nayata is much more important than we thought. While Nayata still acts like Makima, what's important is that if it makes Denji happy, she will put aside her devilish desires for him, even if that means Denji forms a relationship with Asa. It's also striking because Nayata didn't bring up Chainsaw Man or Pochita. She only thought of what he wants at the end of it all. So maybe, just maybe, there is a heart in that devil. So congratulations, Asa Cross Denji fans. Congratulations, Nayata fans, and congratulations to you at home. I'm proud of you. So you better hit that subscribe button. You better drop a like, because if you don't, I'll drop kick you. I'll find you in a dark alley. I'll brutalize you. I'll kick your shins. I'll steal your Pop-Tarts. I'll take your sriracha. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Financially support the channel by becoming a patron, where you'll gain access to my mega One Piece arc reviews and first impressions. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.